Hello everyone and welcome back once again to Gary Grigsby's War in the East. Let's continue where we left off, and I want to take a look at the air. So weather air next turn is going to be cold all over, so I kind of want to keep my Air Force around still before things do get too crazy, but I guess for the moment what I think I'll probably do is I'll send my recon units over to the reserve. So they're not going to take any more supply for the moment. I'll keep the fighters around. But yeah, I want to try and get as little units that need supply as possible at the front line. So I'm really looking to cut down on everything. I know I have not even come close to using my Air Force efficiently over the first year. I'm quite aware of that. Okay, I'll keep the fighters and... Okay, the only thing I need to remove here is Kolof North. But once again, this is still a number of units that take up supplies that can ill afford. Toulouse, this is also the turn where I do think I want to start getting my real units onto the depots to turn them into super depots. For Chudovo, that's going to be a bit tricky, but I do have a double rail at least running towards it now, and yeah, that rail is going down into Novgorod and then back as a loop, so I'll probably want to be at Chudovo itself. But let's start with some engagement first. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. I think that if I put these two in here, that's probably enough to take care of Kronstadt. Oh, it has to be 129. Goodbye. Down to 21. That is not amazing. Anyway, we did take care of that now. And I also think let's get these two. Now, there are quite a few that routed, but we got them. With that said, though, I now at least have 1, 2 units that can get all the way to this line. So I can actually, especially because this is down to 0 again, because they attacked it this heavily, I actually rather feel... Oh, crud. 38, 38. Okay, they could still move back. No, no. I should put an entire division out there. Yeah, you cannot actually get there yet, but the interesting part about this is, what are you, 56? And I have a fortified zone there. So this is Fortal 0. Only 2,000 men working there. Let's have these other guys stay at Pushkin. I know that the weather will be pretty reasonable as well, but this way they'll be in the city. None of them is going to go into refit. I'm just contemplating whether I should put where can you go? So I can actually also put a unit in here, which probably makes it the better that I can now put an entire division in here and in here. because those are the edges. The enemy is going to attack much more heavily on these hexes because they can, you know, attack with 3 parts, whereas here is only 1. So let's do this. It's slightly more stable. So then I'll have 1 part. For these guys actually doesn't really matter that much, but this is for level 2 with 62, and this is slightly less. So I'll put these guys over here. I'm gonna reorganize this HQs, but still, and then bam. So probably I have to get these guys into Chudovo. I'll take a look at that. Meanwhile, yeah, you're fine. All right. So because Leningrad is taken, I can. There is still some time for me to put these units of this army over to that side, and make sure that we're dug in a little bit better. Meanwhile, as I said, I want to make sure that I will get the super depot this turn. So I want to be very careful. This is down to 5. If I go there now. Yep. Okay. And these guys will stay in Chudovo for the rest of the winter. So I did get one all the way up here to Pozdanikovo. And what I'll do is I'll put a depot here too. And this depot is going to be level 3, so it's going to be slightly less. Actually, it doesn't work like that. I need to have these guys at 4 as well, so it goes into Leningrad, and then from Leningrad it goes both to Chudovo, Mga. But with this one here, there's no roads here. There is a road here. It's already going to be tough enough. Yeah. Alright. Let's put this one at 3, though. High priority. Alright. And then the one at Novgorod, it also needs to be at 4. Yeah, sure. Alright. Anyway, I'll put the FBD over at Chudovo, because that way, hopefully, the supplies will also be able to get up to there. And, okay, there we have it. That's that. There will then be rather split them up. Because it's less likely they're gonna attack here. They seem to be less inclined than to do so over here. And we already have a level 2 fortifications there, so if I switch them up like this, I also mind it less if they attack this one particular hex than over here, so this way I could also dig in those slightly better. Meanwhile, I'd rather have the same over here, where I feel like I need to put it on the edge just a little bit more than anywhere else. Yeah. All right. You guys were also going to go back. The question is, are they going to go over to this side? I think that's actually pretty decent. If they're going to go into line here, let's just see how powerful they come out. F3. That's good enough. I think then what I'm inclined to do is actually use Politsai. Let's actually get you here, though. To yeah, to go in here. I already have the level 2 there, so that's okay. And then this way, this is still weak, but at least things are a little bit better over on this side. And again, I'll just put them on the correct respective HQ when the time comes. Over here, I guess I kind of have to keep them on the front line there. There's just practically not a lot I can do. What I do want to do is actually move the Lair Motorized Brigade to go and help out those places like this that not only need to dig in insanely fast, and they're probably not going to be able to do. Yeah, well, I'll have to see. Things are pretty tricky here, and they're very hell-bent on taking that. Let's have these guys help digging in. It's not that much for defense even, but because it's just level 0, that's just a bit of a problem. I kind of have to leave these guys like that. Same for here. There's just not a lot I can do. I still want to actually make a better circle of the rail line here, because currently all this stuff has to go through Vyazma and then here into Kaluga and such, which I think is a bit of a problem. So even before the winter or the actual blizzards hit, I really want to finish up this last rail line, and then after this I'll probably stick it them in Mozhaisk. It's either Mozhaisk, yeah, I think that's most likely, or Istra. It's one of the two. But generally that is close to where I want to keep it. This is for a significant portion level 2, so at least I'm happy somewhat with most of that, or some of that at the very least. These guys, I'm gonna attack, but I'm just making my my movement circle, so to say, first, to see what kind of movement I still need to do. Now, I really wanted to get that rail going from Kursk to Belgorod. The question is, how many turns do I have still? But it's probably not a lot. It's like 1 or 2. Let's actually work on this one first. So, for the FBD down here, I've made full circle, which I'm happy about. But the question is, where am I going to keep them? And I think ultimately I want to have the depot in Stalino by that time, and that way we can then, you know, make sure that the supplies get through this roundabout, which also means that I want to end the turn on the Stalino depot here. And I'm gonna take a look at how to do that. Now, 16th motorized is just gonna stay there on refit this turn 2, but this is 7 now, so let's, now it's 5 6 5. Yeah, okay, so 3 2 1 0. I think I should be able to do that. Okay. So they're gonna stay there. I've worked on those last rail pieces. That's quite nice, I think. If I wait or try to get this rail line up to Mariupol, well, let's actually think about it. So they get 15, so it's 14, 13, 12, 11, 10, 9, 8, 7, 6, 5, 4, 3. Next turn, I can actually link it up to Mariupol. How much does that help? How big is this port? It's a level 1 port. It is a double rail. So any supplies we'd get in Mariupol, that would be pretty much worth it. No, let's just I don't think it weighs up to the added benefit of having a super depot over the next couple of turns. I don't think so. The rail is obviously still in pretty rough shape. Although I'm happy at least to get the double rail to Zaporozhian now, so that works. But we still aren't even close to having any functional rail getting close to the Crimea. It's something I'll have to work on in the 1942. But it's definitely on my list of things to do here. So that's the second FDB. There is the third, which is going to be up here, but then we still need one in the center. And I do think that I want to have this at Kursk. The thing is just that having a full circle in terms of rail is going to be that critical here. Like currently, I have the rail going up to Kaluga and then has to go single rail to Zukhanishki, Bryansk, Orel, and then Kursk. And yeah, it makes somewhat of a circle near Gomel. But if I currently want a rail unit from Stalino, it has to unload at Kharkov and then move the rest of the way to Kursk or to any of these areas, which is just a disaster. How are they on supplies? They're like marginal. It's not the absolute worst, but not particularly pleased with it. I think I'm still better off actually trying to work on this rail for a while. It's also a double rail. So in that sense, I think I should just, you know, take this stuff as it goes along. And it will allow me to also build a few more depots along this line, which I also think will be quite valuable at this stage. Putting one at Belgorod does mean that we'll at least have one halfway coming through, so I also think we'll benefit from that quite a bit. Now, at this point, if I have any hexes which are on level 2, I will actually switch it up. Alright, well, I don't. One other problem is this. I don't like hexes which have only Romanians, especially this hex I find to be very unfortunately placed. And yeah, it worries me a bit. What I might do is I actually might use 16th motorized here to beef up both of these and then send one Romanian unit over into Rostov. So like I would have the 1st Guards Romanian Infantry Division in Rostov at that point, and I will have 16th motorized go in. Well, you move back 1 hex, take 16th motorized, split them up, and I'll have at least some German unit around here as well. These guys are currently at 11. I expect the Russians to put heavy attacks on Rostov itself. But hopefully with these guys on the flanks, maybe as well they'll at least get to level 1. It's still not amazing, but that would work somewhat at least in hoping to prevent them from getting across the river too quickly. That they will get across the river, I don't have any illusions as to whether they would or not, but I just want to make it as difficult for them as humanly possible anyway. So, these guys haven't... It's interesting that they're going down actually by quite a bit. They just don't seem to be getting a whole lot of reinforcements either. Like their 2E seems to be going down significantly. I guess probably in like border attacks with the Russians. They just only barely get to hold on here. It's a bit of a disaster. I wonder if I can see losses for the Italians only. Yeah, losses for Italians, ground losses, 3 L6s. Like they have never engaged into actual combat, like non-border clashes, kind of like. Well, it's not border clash. I mean, frontline, small-scale clashes. That is, like I haven't done any deliberate or soft attacks with them, and still they lost 2 motorized, 27 rifle squads, 3 45mm and 35 mortars, and a bunch of other stuff. Just straight up from being on the front line, that is. Like, there's nothing else that happened. I guess the tanks come from the Solera division. Oh. L640, yeah. So, we'll be getting a bunch more Italians in 1942, which, I mean, we're already guaranteed to get to at this stage at least, because there is no way that I'm gonna get those required 50 points now. I mean, taking Moscow, especially during this blizzard, etc., is out of the question, and these guys are way too powerful anyhow. The Germans definitely do seem to focus the majority of their forces onto that location, which is only the smart thing to do, but still. Either way, let's continue here. So I have, if I'm not mistaken, yeah, didn't I put it to Warsaw, like? That's a reserve arrival hex for now, yeah, okay. So first thing is the 223rd Infantry Division. Let's actually rail them up towards Borodino over here, because, well, I still need the majority of infantry here. I could also rail them here. Actually, I've put so much reinforcements in the north, I think I need another infantry division here that will allow me to get those last few panzers off the line, at least put them in reserve, because this is getting a bit ridiculous over there. At the same time, I have the 36 motorized and the 3rd Panzer. They're not looking too hot at the moment with 4 and 9 as their numbers, but I guess, I mean, they do have 92 and 58% of their TOE. It's just that I guess they just came back from the reserve and they're in this mud hexes and stuff. So for them to have been refitted at least enough, I think that what I want to do is I want to send at least one. Well, I already have technically another Panzer division, which is 8th Panzer, all the way up here. 51 T-38s, huh? I have only a bunch of serious tanks. Like, most of these are just, you know, old Panzer II models. To be fair, I also need to take this away. They're actually operating in pretty bad conditions. 61% TOE as it is. Let's send 4th motorized. Let's start with Smolensk. They're on the train, obviously. And 3rd Panzer Division. I will send them to the south. I would say ideally I will send them south through to Belgorod. I actually want to get them into Kharkov, kinda. But the rail doesn't actually run up all the way. So what I'll do is I'll use the green rail to get them to Kursk, and then probably send them further down the line. Because I don't want to use the other double rail down here, because it's already in the orange and I really need it for the supplies. Now, it seems like the game actually also so desperately needs supplies that it's going to run them over this rail line here just to save this little piece. It does mean that I'm actually quite desperately in need of getting this second piece up as well. So at least from here they can also run on that second rail line. Although things here are already quite miserable in that regard. It's kind of tricky because I don't have any rail line moving up yet, which is why I kind of also need this double rail from Odessa. But, you know, they're just... having those rail lines is just in a long wish list of things that I really want. So, it's not going to come anytime soon, I think. For most of them. Just like I also want to get this rail line, but that's also not going to happen anytime soon, at least not during winter. That's for sure. I'm way too far out. I'm way too overstretched. Yes, I know. And there's no reason for me to be here at all in reality. Like, it doesn't matter. It looks nice, but there are no points to be gained here. So technically, you don't really need to be here, and I'm not shortening my lines by that much by going all the way out. Technically, if you... well, I mean, going sideways is always better than making 2 straight lines here. So in that sense, it does save a little bit by doing this. Like, the diagonal is less than the sum of these two. But, yeah, overall, it's still problematic because I'm too overstretched. Now, one other thing that I think is probably interesting, if we take a look at the Commanders Report screen. Oh, that's the wrong one. I want the reinforcement screen. If we only take the ones that go to... to map. To and from map. We'll see that for the next couple of turns... first of all, we'll get the 215th Infantry Division. Then we'll get a Panzer Regiment that will, yeah, Flag Regiment. Turn 26. Basically, throughout the winter, we'll get a bunch of infantry divisions. 25th of January is where we really start getting in some serious reinforcements. Together with the 8th of February. Like, throughout the winter, there's some pretty reasonable reinforcements that you'll get. And then on the 7th of June, you'll get also, again, 4 divisions. Some more labor groups. And some static divisions, also interesting. Alright, well. So we'll get a bunch of reinforcements too, that's nice. Alright, so let's see where I can actually do some decent attacks. Besides that, though, there is one thing that I want to do, and that's actually split these guys up. And as I said, I actually don't want the Romanians to be off by themselves there. So... no, there. Okay, that's fine. There we go. This, I think makes it a little bit better. At least we have some Germans in at least every location. I do kind of feel that is what I want. I have a pretty similar situation, and for those weaker units, there's something like this. Alright. So, I'm gonna try to also get overwhelming odds here. And, yeah, this hopefully will help me quite a bit. I know these are a bit weaker than after such an attack, but... do I attack this or the tanks? I think I'd rather go for the weaker attacks. Generally. The attacks here are going to be relatively bad because we are attacking across a major river. But I still hope that with the additional Soviet losses, they might think twice about doing some serious attacks. I hope at least. This wasn't too great, but also the Soviets lose quite a bit of planes here. Oh, there are also only Romanians here? Oof. Let's triple stack. That maybe then they'll be okay. I'm not even gonna attack there. Like I said, they're at least losing a decent number of planes too. That's worth something. I mean, we're also losing planes, but... They retreat en route. Okay, fine. Like, these odds are definitely something that I'm willing to take. This is already a bit trickier. Let's attack here. There we go. I can handle this probably. Decent. That not so much, but I'm willing to take this attack. Kind of update routed, but you know, you can't have everything. Now here is where it gets interesting. They're at a level 3 fort, and these guys are none too powerful. I'm gonna think about that for a bit, though. These, they're fair game. Just like these. And I think these. Oof, that's harsh. Really? Fuck that. Yeah, okay. Another thing that I'm rather happy about is dealing with bombers if I can. Not attacking any time there. I'm also gonna only attack with full divisions. No thanks. And no thanks. All right. I mean, I guess that's it for now. It should at least be something. At least for the current turn, they took 72,000 losses. It's something. Let's hope it helps. At least a little bit. All right. The reorganizing is probably not going to take all that much work, so I think that I'll probably be able to do it on screen even. Let's just start over here with the 50th, where you definitely need to be part of it. Actually, you know what? I'll do it off screen anyway, because, for example, if I go to the OKH, I still have a lot of aircraft to dish out here, for example, or anti-aircraft to dish out, Wehrfirst, Tug battalions, etc. And I kind of need to take a look at where those are going to go. Yeah, so I'll be back in a jiffy with the upgrades and such. Alright, I'm back with some adjustments as usual. As I switched over some of the HQs, like I said over here, to make sure that everything looks a little bit better. Now this corps cannot, or doesn't actually take all units. But these are not overburdened, so this will allow these to also not be overburdened. So I kind of did it like that. Then I'll have the... Why are you at 0, though? That's definitely not what's supposed to happen. Huh. Alright. Let's put you at 3. I actually should be removing the supply depot at Divinskaya now. Yeah. Okay, so I always find new things that I actually haven't done yet. These are importing ports. I also should be just removing these. Like, there's no reason to stockpile supplies on these hexes at all. Also not on Kronstadt itself. But we'll disband that next turn since we still have units on it, and they'll be withdrawing supplies from that quite nicely. Man, I really don't know why I didn't take care of this. But I guess it's good to still be doing this now. So I'm just lowering these as well for the moment because I don't actually need them. Same for this one. I just, I mean, if you're doing everything perfectly, then what's the use of playing? Because you always win, right? That's just basically what it is. Alright, so, there's that. So I've been moving these units around a bit. As I said, I do now have these, you should be ready. I switched up all the units that needed to refit, like these guys. These guys are in terrible shape, but it will be pretty hard to get units around here. That's also why I have this super depot. Currently hoping that the trucks will still be able to make it to there. And also from Pino, otherwise I have to withdraw back a little bit. I can always, you know, make a new line based on Lake Ilmen if during the winter it feels like, you know, we'll not be able to hold this. That could definitely be the case. We'll see about that. I built a fortified zone over here, switch some of these guys to the proper HQ. I really don't remember everything I did, but yeah, so then I also put one part of Totenkopf in here to make it a bit more durable as well, since they generally attack at Kimki and not so much at Menekino because they can get more units there. The same, well, I didn't actually do that here, but yeah, okay, never mind. I don't know exactly every little thing that I did. One other thing that I did is I switched up 9th Army's commander with Walter Model, like he historically did a little bit later. We're gonna get him from November. I actually realized, and I did not know this before, is that Paul Laux is leader of the 3rd Panzer Group. I completely missed that. I need to get rid of him, but it will take 2 more turns before I have the prerequisite points. This guy is a total joke. Like, he should get out of there. I don't know when that happened, but he should not be there, basically. So I'm gonna get rid of him. I don't know how long he's been there, but he has to go. Pretty much. So you have nothing assigned. That is exactly the way I want it. What I said is I moved these panzer divisions over through this rail line, which is what I wanted because I did not want to overburden this here yellow rail line. These guys are red now, but yeah, I need to ship these divisions over to this side anyway if I want to get them in as reserves. I needed them to refit in the reserve, otherwise, you know, they would just not get back up to strength. Besides that, of course, I do have this here now, so that's a little bit more powerful, and I hope they might have a bit of a better chance to also start digging in and stuff. They're currently all still at 0, which is obviously a bit of a problem, and since we're gonna have the terrible effects of the winter storms in like 2 turns. So that's gonna be an issue, but I always said that I don't necessarily need to maintain this bulge. I can always retreat back somewhat. You know, 1 or 2 hexes a turn will give me a month's worth of you know, retreating towards the Mias River, potentially still holding on to Rostov. We'll see how that goes anyway. So that happened. I switched or divided all the let's go to Minsk to show that off. Divided all the additional support units that I had there. We have 3rd Panzer 36 motorized and 223rd Infantry Division currently moving around to act as reserve or new frontline units as well. So they will be you know, transferred, etc. You cannot go if you need 50. 45, okay. Yeah. Anyway, so that's there. There's just one last thing that I want to do during this turn, and that is I want to take a look at these at the active reserve. So what we currently have is most of those panzer divisions, they're not up to snuff, but I think that for the motorized divisions that are okay, these still have some damaged elements. How is Leibstandard? Like these guys, the Leibstandard Motorized Brigade, I think I can already send them back. They have very little damaged units. I could wait on another turn, but I want to phase in my units gradually. So let's send the 60th Motorized Division back and the Leibstandard SS Motorized Brigade as well. Let's transfer them over to the map here. There we go, and then Das Reich will stay here at least for another turn, even though they're at 91. I think that's probably good. These two flak units will just stay where they are. All right, so we're all set, ready to go for another round of mud and snow fun time activities, I would say. Yeah, all right, let's... Also, some of the much weaker units, like these, for the most part, I've actually given them an additional support unit, which I did not do for you, but, like, yeah, actually, now they're 3. So, in order to try and get them to be a bit more powerful for the winter, should have given it to them, not them, because these guys might attack, but, yeah. Alright. Didn't even realize that I already clicked yes. Something weird happened with the way these swamps look. Huh. That was weird. Oh well. So we have some areas where we do have level 2s, which is nice, but in way too many places I do not. So I will definitely have to weigh my defenses or hinge my defenses on those areas where we do have level 2 fortifications. Like, it would be a lot nicer to have level 3s, but that does take so much longer to get all the way to level 3. You have to stop all your advances like 3 turns earlier than I did. And I think you're gonna, you know, miss out on a lot of points and opportunity. Contrary to the first game, where your sole concern was the destruction of the Red Army, I actually feel that in this game you now also have to be concerned about taking enough territory. As in regards to territory, I'm currently in a position where taking both Voronezh and Stalingrad might, if I maintain control of all the other ones, will give me a decisive victory. And if you look at other YouTubers, for example, in terms of points where they are now, that is a distinct difference from where they are, because like I follow other Let's Plays on this game as well. Like, I don't have the time to watch entire videos, but just to kind of, you know, see about other players' progress. I do like that. I do have some other players that I like as well. And if you feel like compare the situation, then you might find that, you know, they would have to take a lot more territory over 1942, so much so that it might not be possible to get victory in 1942, simply because they would, you know, need to take both the entire Caucasus and the entire Donbass, etc., etc. And that, as a result, just might not necessarily be achievable. I'm really happy that I put that additional unit in there and worked that up to an entire infantry division as well. I'm really pleased. It will be tough in the winter regardless, but just the fact that we've put these guys on those edges. Okay, they can no longer put up a second attack because these units, or another heart attack because these units weak. Hold! Oh, yes. Holy cow. From 1 to 0. Jeez. Okay, I definitely need to stack those guys there too. Damn that. I don't like having such weak stacks on a particular position. I really don't, but yeah, currently I didn't have a choice, but I'm definitely going to switch that up. That is just unholdable that way. Like, having partial units like this, that's just no good. Hold on. Good, good. Also good losses to ratio, at least. I mean, I'm not so much concerned here. Yeah, good. If they lose their tanks over here, all the better, because I don't actually want them to attack in other places that badly. It's good that I have, again, level 1 here, though, but that's also why I triple stack them. If they're so aggressive over on these places, this is where I want to hold the line, you know? That's where I want them to take their insane casualties, you know, trying to chug through my heavy woods with a level 2 fortress on it, which they'll never penetrate, and I want them to, you know, lose a gazillion tanks in each hit. Ideally, of course. And I don't want them to attack that one place where I had these, you know, less than 4,000 men. That's just really, really bad. Like, trying to defend that place with just that little bit. It's no surprise that it's a level 0 fortress. And that is going to be extremely tough to hold Kalinin. But, you know, we've had 2 months to prepare for that Soviet invasion there. And even then, we're still doing quite poorly. I mean, 2 months compared to when the Germans captured it, of course, as the Germans captured during the... Actually, I believe it was like late October or something like that, but they lost it really quickly again because they had just like one Panzer division, a part of a Panzer division actually out there. I read about those fights there once, that the Germans were in severe trouble there, you know, because they just had... They took the city with like... absolutely nothing, and then when the Russians counterattacked, it was just impossible to hold. But it's already a long time since I read upon that. I mean, I know this does not compare to the later attacks of the Soviets during, you know, after the winter, or during the blizzard phases, but I do feel, at least for the moment, we're holding out pretty well. They also still haven't gotten their 500,000 troop reinforcements, so I mean, these attacks are comparatively a joke, obviously. Ooh, some units to fight back, not bad. That's very nice, because that means that we'll destroy this LI2s. Yeah, they have no more backup, and now we're just... yeah, absolutely smacking those LI2s. Oh, okay. So now they're using U2 transports? That's interesting. Still no fortification levels on those hexes. I mean, I understand that they took it all away there, but the fact that I don't have any fortifications in there means I'll likely have to retreat from that place. That's problematic. Like, I'm happy with my level 2s around this area, and then obviously we don't have it here yet. I do believe that the fortifications start before the rest of the logistics, I think, here. I actually have to check, because I often feel like this number sometimes changes at the end of the turn, but also at the beginning of the turn. I'm not sure when you get those additional fortification levels. I need to take a look here, because this is the resource movement. It doesn't actually show, like, build up fortification levels or something like that. At least not for the moment that I'm aware of. No. I know it sounds weird though, but I am actually, at least at the moment, exceedingly happy with my position. Being out here on those two axes would also mean that, yeah, it would just be that much harder to defend. Like, I feel like I probably would have been able to also grab these hexes for the double rail towards Kalinin. But I don't know what I would have gained from that. Although, on the other hand, I would have been able to get from Rzhev to Torzhok to Likslavl. I don't know what it says underneath that number. But, yeah, I guess I would have been able to get transports, or to get trains all the way into Kalinin then, at least. But, alright. That's a turn summary. OB changes. Relatively little on map. In losses. 31 tanks. Okay. Let's take a look. 1941-42, very cold winter. November the 12th, 1941. Temperatures in the Moscow area dropped to minus 12 degrees Celsius, the beginning of one of the coldest Russian winter in the 20th century. During 1941 to 1942, winter temperatures across central Russia will drop below minus 20 degrees Celsius in late December through early January. Kodinka Airfield Metro Station in Moscow recorded spikes down to minus 33 degrees Celsius in late December. Kalinin, north of Moscow, recorded minus 50 degrees Celsius. Pretty bad in many USSR regions. Yeah. I wonder why they keep saying that. That's very weird. Anyway, we can actually see that the Soviets in some areas have kind of retreated. I will most certainly try to attack certain parts of their line again wherever I do see that as possible. Seems like we do have a bit of a snowfall. Okay, so not blizzard. Now that, of course, that we're in this kind of winter, we're getting close to the winter, I want to take a exceedingly better look at the weather conditions. So we can see here that the weather ground for the moment is mostly clear to light snow. We can expect that still to be clear to light snow for November the 16th. Next turn, that is. We're currently apparently in this November 9th turn, which is kind of weird. It says November 16th, but this is the current, and this is the next turn at any rate. Weather air for the most part here is cold, but indeed we have this small part where there is snowfall. If we look at the next turn, we can see that there will be an exceedingly large portion of this area to be in blizzard, whereas the other part is not. But we will not yet suffer the winter attrition during the blizzard here, as we would another turn afterwards. So we're still moderately safe even during a blizzard turn, even if we don't have level 2 fortification levels in some areas. Although for the most part, or actually for a significant part, we have only level 1 fortifications actually. I don't think we have any level 3 fortifications along the entire line anywhere. At least I haven't seen it. The only area where I might have that is all the way up here, but it's unlikely. 268, 242, 212. Yeah, we still don't have it. One thing I could still do is take Siestra, but that's quite unnecessary. We do have a few more forces to complement the line, so I'll be able to, you know, get less of those weakened units out there. Yeah, those units that arrived should be in Warsaw. Indeed, they still show some signs of fatigue, etc., but I think they'll be okay. If we're looking here at the on-map forces, so it's still about 3 million men, whereas for us it's 2.7. Of course, we do have almost 200,000 units in the reserve, so that's there. If we look at the reserve right now, we can see that the Panzer divisions, they are slowly building up, but I would wager it's pretty tough for them to replace those Panzers. They just might not have, you know, the manpower, etc. Like Das Reich was at 91, I believe, last turn. It's like 92 now. So there's not a whole lot of additional men that actually gets flown into these units. It's not as if I can actually put them on refit, I think. Oh, I can. Oh. Whoops. Okay. Never mind that. I didn't say anything. Anyway, Axis losses. It's like 1/10 over 500,000. For the Soviets, they're getting close to 4 million men. Guns 5 to 61, and AFVs, they lost 15,500. If we're looking at Soviet losses in terms of tanks, which is quite interesting at that, we can see that they lost more than 4,000 T-26s, more than 1,500 T-3441s as well. Getting close to 1,000 KVs lost, or at least they have 800. A lot of BT-7s and BT-5s as well. Just insane numbers here. All this macaroni. Yeah. Maxim machine gun, okay. Those 305mm coastal guns, I guess that must be from places like Sevastopol. If we look at the production, I'm actually quite curious whether we're already starting to build the T-34 captured units. Doesn't show them yet. Maybe I have to go here like no, let's actually see, because no, that doesn't show me anything here. There's also something similar with the Soviet mortars. At some point we start using their mortars too. I'm just not sure on when it happens in this game compared to the previous game, where it also seemed to happen quite early, actually. At any rate, these labor groups are really working on some excellent positions there. I'm actually quite pleased with their placement during this turn, if I do say so myself. Anyway, I'm gonna wrap things up. I want to thank you for watching this one. Do hope you enjoyed it. If you did, please do consider leaving a like, comment, or subscribe. And I'll see you all on the next one. Take care. See you then. Bye-bye.